Mascot. I said, get out. Get him out of this compound. Get him out of this compound. They are leaving this place. Kudus, they are leaving this place.
No.
Let him out of this compound. Now.
Mr. Man, what's your problem?
Who is paying your salary?
What is your problem?
Who is paying your salary?
What's your problem?
Mascot for the way.
Keep recording.
Mascot for the way.
Hello. So welcome back again. This is the Strategic or the Strategist TV, and our pursuit to excellence in Nigeria, with always making sure that our public servants are accountable, making sure that our public servants understand what the name actually means, public servant. And when an elected official appoints a minister, that particular minister is actually meant to help make things happen for that administration. Okay. It is assumed, again, I'm using the word assumed, it is assumed that when you are elected into public office or appointed to serve in a public office, the standard is actually meant to be high. But in the case of Nigeria, it is not. Now, a minister or public servant or an elected public servant, or in Toke Benson's case here, an unelected, she's not elected, she was appointed by the current governor of the state to be a minister of tourism in Lagos. So now there are a lot of scenarios here that would have played out when this issue broke out, when this recording, this tape was leaked into the press, into the public space. And my number one thought when I first saw the entire clip, it took me a while to react to it really because I wanted to be sure that we have the right set of people, and I wanted to make the right statement. I didn't just want to jump into conclusion first. Um, there is this assumption for how they have called the guy's name Kudus. Kudus actually mentioned that name, so I'm assuming there's some sense of familiarity here. But what we really try to, you know, take into account is the fact that this public servant will put her hands, slap somebody, threaten the people there. And even at one point in time during this recording, if you've ever watched it, you hear when she called the person and said, who's your guy or something like that. And I will call him in Abuja and you want to lose your job. I'm going to come back to that later because for me, that's one of the striking parts where public service is seen as a way of, in Nigeria parlance, big manism, where a public official, a public servant, lords it over the people who he or she is meant to be representing. What I mean by representing is this: as a public servant, for example, in our case, Minister of Tourism, you would assume that for what Nollywood is doing in Nigeria and what the entertainment industry is doing in Nigeria, what Nigerians globally are doing, the kind of attractions Nigerians have actually been, bringing to Nigeria in spite of the corruption of our political class, our political elite, in spite of the corruption that is so pervasive in Nigeria. To get to a point where, as a Nigerian, when I go online and you go to YouTube, you Google, you realize the desire for everything in Nigeria. Globally, there's this blemish when you realize that the people who are meant to serve us, who are meant to be public officials or public servants, see themselves as kings and queens. The people who are beyond the jurisdiction of the Nigerian state, who are, in our context, above the law. And for me, this is one of those areas because, I mean, again, like I said, I look at social cultural issues, political issues, economic issues, things that are plaguing the nation. And I can tell you, Nigeria is a very beautiful country. It's a blessed nation. Nigeria is really blessed. We're blessed with very smart people. I mean, I looked it up, looked at someone's profile up. She's well educated and well traveled. So it means that she's quite exposed, but there's a problem. The vexation, I'm using the word that, the vexation of power, where it makes you lord it over somebody, where you can have a conversation. You can quietly and calmly speak, and people respect. But there's this idea of fear. I can take something off from you and make you feel less. And for me, that's what this video, that's what, when I watched, that's the thing that really got my attention. The fear. I will instill fear in you so I can have my way. Now, the video doesn't really capture all the context of what happened when it was recorded. From what we can see where one person is saying, no one's going anywhere. This one is saying, and she's saying, I mean, Toke Benson is saying, get him out of here, get him out of this building. And I want to say, no, do you know? And she's also saying, do you know who I am? Who I am? The question is, who are you? You're a public servant. You're meant to serve the people. You're meant to provide help for the people. You're meant to provide tourism, make the tourism of Lagos State boom, come up with new ideas how you would partner with the different industries is making Lagos State and Nigeria as a whole better. But what we hear is, do you know who I am? The question is, who are you? Just a human being like every one of us. Maybe sitting in some position that you feel you deserved. The thing that we would need to do as Nigerians, we need to drive out this culture of fear and political stigmatization where, and I'm using that because the other guy who was slapped, you lose something that means a lot to him. So when you are in that political power, place of authority, you can control a lot of power where you can use your influence and contact to actually help remove the person's source of income from their mouth. So, and I think that's where it stemmed from. Do you know who I am? Do you know who my father is? Do you know I know your boss? I will call your boss in Abuja and you will lose your job. Now, when I heard that part later, I felt it felt really annoyed because a minister of tourism is actually meant to help provide um, jobs in a country where no, she belongs to the APC because that's the people that appointed her really. So you want to assume that she's one of them. In a country where you know for a certainty that there's job scarcity, and then you threaten this person of losing their job. Now the question is, why? Is it because you have the power? Is it because you have the authority? Is it because you have the influence and the contact to make a phone call and call somebody and say, that guy needs to go? They'll sack the person the next day. So there's a whole lot of issues wrong with our society that we need to fix. And one of them is this. We need to get this right because if we don't, I can guarantee you, you might be the next victim. Let's don't make this one of those cases where it happened this week and under the carpet it is gone. Nobody's talking about it, waiting for the next news cycle. Because this is what the elite really wants. You know, when this happens, give it a week, it will blow over, and then we move on to business as usual. We don't want to have business as usual in Nigeria anymore. No, there's no way an altercation like this will happen somewhere in America, where I believe she's been several times, or in the UK, or in the West, or outside of Nigeria, where this particular woman will raise her hand and slap the person. She knows she will end up in court. She's a lawyer, by the way, anyway. To raise your hands where you could talk and slap another human being, an adult like yourself. Forget your financial power. your political power, but to raise your hand because you cannot really express yourself. To get the person to actually lean into your opinion on why you're saying something what the person should stop is what beats my imagination. So I want you to continue to listen. And you can see that lady shouting. When people like Toke Benson do what is wrong, they always have enablers. People who are also vexatious with that power that their friends and their acquaintances is actually weird. They're carrying they're carrying such authority. So you can say, "Do you know who she is? Did you not hear what she said?" I know we've come out, we've condemned these entire stuff. I mean, there's so many other areas we'll look at. This is not, we're just taking one case at a time. I'm actually throwing this back into the limelight because I don't want this to die. I want this story to, because first of all, right, this woman, once this happened, she should either leave that position, resign, or be fired. She should not be holding that position. You can say there's a lapse in judgment, but you see, similar stuff happened in the UK. And I ask you to Google a minister who, now this was an elected minister, who had similar altercation with another British citizen. And guess what? He had to step down for a period. So when people like these public officials do things that we know is against what they should be doing, what are the consequences? Because if me and you do the same thing and we represent another company, imagine I work for her, I work for our organization, and I'm seen fighting outside. When I get into the office the next day, I will be facing the disciplinary action, more like be dismissed or sacked, because they would say, the business will say, you know what, that's not what we stand for. This person cannot represent us. So if businesses can do that, why can the Lagos state government do the same? The standard has to be very high. We've actually lowered the standard for political office holders, public servants, so much so they come in and rubbish everything in our face. I said this before. We have the worst set of people governing us, managing the affairs of our country and our states. And that's why everything is dying. Nothing is working. Our schools are not working. Our public service is not working. Nothing is working. And then we have the same people who will walk around and say they're political leaders. For example, she goes, looks very awesome, and then oh, that's the minister for tourism. The question is, can you come to do a news conference and tell us what you've done as the minister for tourism for Lagos State? How much partnership you've done? Show us the data of how much those partnerships have actually helped provide jobs for Lagosians. You can see that, right? I mean, if you're not shocked, if you're not, vexed or angry when you watch something like this as a Nigerian, and something's wrong, we need to stop it, because if we don't listen, the likes of Shore have been shouting, we need to take back our country, and we need to set new standards. And I'm really angry because I know that if this doesn't stop, my children will suffer the same fate. Because all we know for certain is that the political elite will always put themselves and their children above and find a way to sort them out. So that's why I'm angry. That's why I'm not happy. That's why I feel disappointed. And we shouldn't let this case just die like that.
They said you should take him out of this. Nobody is going out of anywhere, man. I'm doing that. Something here, but nobody is going out of anywhere.
This situation would have been a nice conversation. Please sit down. Let's have this conversation. And it wouldn't have escalated to this level. Because when you cannot have a conversation because you think you should be feared, you always resort to violence, threat. No, she's not the first person. I'm telling you, she's not the first person. If you remember, this man here did the same thing last year. I mean, is it last year or so? This same man here, a sitting House of Rep member, his name is Alex Ikwechegh. Alex Ifeanyi Mascot Ikwechegh. A similar stuff like this last year. This man said he was going to make a Nigerian disappear in the whole of Nigeria. Nothing will happen. The question is, and I know a lot of people ask the same question, how many people have you made to disappear? How many? How many people have you made to disappear? This is where I get this is where the frustration is coming from.
You know where you are? Do you know who I am? So you think I will give you my money with the way you have spoken to me?
I did a job for you and you have to pay it, sir.
You will not see any. You will not see penny from me. With this level of disrespect, you're very stupid. Very, very stupid. Madam.
You can hear that. I know there's been a settlement between Alex and the driver. After the global outcry in Nigerians are amazing, fantastic people. I wish that boat driver didn't have to go settle behind the scene and then apologize. And again, fun thing, he apologized for it. But this man slapping him. That's why we're talking about making Nigeria better. This man literally. No, you know what? Yeah, continue listening or watching.
Who is this stupid boy that you sent to this my house? Who is this foolish boy that you sent to my house? How can this stupid idiot come to my house and...
Listen, if you represent your nation, if you represent your constituent, if you're in the House of Rep, whether in the state or in the federal, you have no right to speak to your fellow Nigerians that way. You have no right. I watched one of those debates and when they were talking about the Samoa or something, or they were talking about some human rights stuff, where this guy talked about, I'm talking about Alex Ikwechegh here, about something that is not within our culture. It should not be. It should be cultural that you cannot actually open your mouth. Being a public servant, kings don't swear. They don't curse. When you're in the place of authority, you don't curse your citizen. You don't use dirty words on them. As a matter of fact, you should be the one to stand for them, whether or not they belong in your constituent, when you see them being harassed. Some of the words this man, I wouldn't say gentleman, that Alex Ikwechegh used to describe this guy, very colorful words, to say the least. I cannot even open my mouth to even say them.
Tell me that I'm supposed to come and meet him in his car and pick up snails that I'm buying from you?
Just like Toke Benson's case, this is similar. He literally could have had a conversation with this guy and even schooled him on customer service. And I can guarantee you, take an assumption here. So this man goes to New York, stays in a rented property or something, maybe you own somewhere you could go to in America, maybe the UK, or there's something from Amazon. Amazon comes to deliver whatever is ordered. You would not say to Amazon driver or delivery, say, why didn't you come up into my house to give it to me? They would drop it at your gate, whether it is food or not. You have to come up to that gate, sign for it, receive it, and go. Not for them to come and give it to you, where you feel that you're king, a public servant feels like he's a king. And there's no way you would have put your hands on a driver because you felt so, you know, mighty that you ordered for something snails. For just snails, this man could make the boat driver disappear for snail. Something you eat goes into your body and passes out some point later. He wants to make a human being disappear for food. Imagine if you can do it for food. What is saying that you've not done it before? So this is quite despicable. And we have to call it what it is. It is a despicable what we see from our politicians. Something is nothing you and I want to be part of.
Can you imagine this rat? I can make this.
See, even the person from whom he ordered the boat, sorry, the snail, still apologized without even getting the context of what really happened. I know she's looking out for her business anyway, but you can hear it doesn't even know who you are. You see this big man syndrome in Nigeria, this classism, this classist system that we have, where everyone is doing everything possible, whether or not they're killing other people or taking advantage of other people, just to be rich so that they can be a lot of another person. You can see from that you can hear from that woman's conversation, it doesn't know who you are. So there's no difference between, I mean, Toke Benson's case and Ikwecheg's case. The difference is just a difference in era and happen to do different set of people. Really, that's the difference. The power play is still the same. The authority is still the same. Hear this as well. Hear what Ikwechegh said again.
This man
Just
will
as a
disappear in the whole Nigeria, nothing will happen. Can you imagine this rat?
I'm just going to rewind
I'm
it
not
one more
going to
time.
give this. I'm
Just
not going to
listen.
give this boy. Can you imagine this rat? I can make this man to disappear in the whole Nigeria, nothing will happen.
Recently, the news broke out that a gospel singer killed, dismembered his girlfriend, and the entire nation was outraged. A gospel singer. But hear what this man says. The gospel singer made a human being, almost made a human being disappear. Timile, whatever his name is, that guy that killed his girlfriend, or supposedly his girlfriend. But this man here says something this much. This is despicable. Called a human being a rat, and he says, I'm going to make him disappear. Disappear. Go missing. This is a gangster kind of language from a from the people's representative. Listen, Anambra, see Abia South, Abia North, and that constituency. I'm actually asking you guys, and I'm pleading to you guys to not vote this man in again. He does not deserve your representation. As a matter of fact, what he's done is to make sure that he, malign your constituency. So get somebody else in. I want to make it a point of duty that come 2027, if we remember, we call him out to make sure that, and pull a campaign to make sure it never gets reelected. All of these politicians, we need to start it. Let them don't think that is their birthright. When they don't represent you well, get them out. Look at the laws they're helping to pass. Look at the laws they're helping to create. And see what they've done that would actually reflect well on your state, on your constituency, before you can send them back. If he hasn't done that much, you cannot be sentimental about it. Get somebody who's better. We have to stop letting the least of us become the ones who are in the place of authority, because they will never do beyond that. That's why our nation is in the state where it is. I can't really play all those. The entire it's a tape of curses.
Can you imagine this land? I'm not going to give this. I'm not going to give this boy 1 naira of my money. No. I'm not going to give this silly boy
The guy
1
has done the
naira of
work.
my
He's done a
money.
job for you, and you don't want to pay him.
I pray that you do. I pray that you insult me. Can you please insult me? I'm not going to call my policeman to beat you up. I will beat you up. I will show you that I'm a big brother to you. I will slap the hell out of you.
Now, this is one point that he made. I'm not going to call my policemen to beat you. Please, police officers, your job is not to beat Nigerians. Your job is to protect us. Don't let these power, power greedy and power hungry politicians use you for their weak head. Now, let's go. If he said that he will not call his policemen to beat him, it means he's done it before. The question a lot of people ask when this broke out is, how many people have you done that to before? Because there's no way you will say something like this that you've not done before. There is no way. It is out of the abundance of the heart the mouth always speaks anyway. So out of what you've done before that you've done, that's why you're saying what you're saying, Alex Ikwechegh. So Nigerians need to hold this man accountable. I understand they've settled the case, but people from Abia State, you cannot let this guy come back to represent you anymore. Since he didn't resign, I mean, Nigerian politicians don't have any. They don't have any thing they stand for anyway. It's just personal greed, personal avarice. So no value system. You know, the only thing they imagine is how much power and money they will get.
And I will lie you down, mocking in my janitor house. How dare you?
Why should we do that?
What the hell? Do you know who you're talking to? Do you know where you are?
You see that part again? You know you were talking to. I mean, when I was a child, this is one of the things we always hear. Do you know who my father is? Do you know who I am? That's the Nigerian classist system. Who I am, who my father is. You understand? Stand for nothing. So I'm saying this. I don't want to shout like most people would do and raise the. I don't want to. I think we can have this conversation, all of us, in our dining room, in our living room, in our kitchen, as we sit outside on our playgrounds. Have these conversations. Listen, 2027 is around the corner. All these guys are already gearing towards that. The next thing they're thinking about how many more 4 years they will be there to make us much money and get more authority and power they will think of. So you and I have to start thinking about it. What do we need? Let's don't wait till 2027 because that will be too late. It starts now. This is why this podcast is outside. I want you to like it and share it and subscribe to it. Put your comments down. Let's share our thoughts on how to defeat this plague that is wiping Nigeria. Listen, I mean, I give credit to our entertainment industry. I give credit to Nigerians who are doing exploit in and around the world and in Nigeria as well, and globally and at home. I give credit to all of you guys. I give credit to our entertainers, to those people in Nollywood. You need to call them out. You know, when you see them, put your hands up for them because they're doing a very remarkable job. Well, we can't say same of our politicians because all we can see is greedy politicians stealing money in Nigeria and going to invest it in the West, and sometimes most of them die in the process, and the money just gets swallowed up in those systems, and they use that to build their system. So we cannot say same for our politicians. The same thing we're looking at these two people, Alex Ikwechegh and Toke Benson. Again, I asked the question earlier. Can Toke Benson tell us, since she's been Minister of Tourism, how many jobs she's actually helped to create for Lagos State? Can she show us the partnership she's done to help bring, business into Lagos State so that Lagosians can get jobs? Rather than threatening somebody to say the person, I'm going to call your boss in Abuja and you'll lose your job. The same thing for Alex Ikwechegh. We need to see how many bills he actually has up, how many laws he's written. We're talking about constitutional amendment because the 1999 constitution is not fit for purpose. But this man is saying, do you know who I am? So Again, this is one of those cases where we need to. I'm making this a bit longer because I realize our 10-15 minutes, you know, podcasts don't really do the job. So today's one is quite intentional because I want you to spend some time, listen to what I've said, correct me where I've made mistakes, put your comments down in the comment section below, and then share it and subscribe. We need to start preparing for 2027 election. We need to start getting everything right. We're from looking at the judiciary to our politicians in every stratus of our society, the local government, the state, and the federal. Every strata of our society, we need to fix it. We need to fix our schools. We need to fix our hospitals. And if you don't make these politicians give account for it, of themselves to us, it will remain the same. So again, thank you, and thanks for watching this. I'll catch you up as well again in the next step. God bless you. Stay blessed.